Bavashaya. In the beginning, Yah created the heavens and the earth. His spirit moved upon the waters. It's all in his word. He said, let there be light. And he called the light day. And the darkness he called night. He saw that it was. He made heaven and called forth the dry land. Gathered the waters, called it the seed. And he made seed for man. Brought forth the grass and every herb and every fruit yielding tree on this earth. He saw that it was. He made lights to divide day and night times for seasons, days, and years to let them be for signs. And so the earth could have light. He made the greater one to rule the day and the lesser one to rule the night. Let's not forget he made the stars also. Then he told the waters to bring forth life, and it was so. He created all the birds of the sky, all the cattle, and every creeping thing after his own kind. He saw that it was. Then Yah created man. In his own image he created them. Male and female he created them. He blessed them to be fruitful and to multiply and to replenish the earth and subdue everything within. Behold, it was very good when it saw already get made. Even in the morning were the sixth day. And on the seventh day he rested. That's why he sanctified and blessed it. It's uncontested. My God is, and to make it understood, I'm bumping truth music when I'm rolling through my hood. I'm putting God first, no hood fame. You read it on a nameplate. Dwell in the house of Yahweh forever for his name's sake. And though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I'm stomping through like it don't even exist. His goodness and mercy follow me all the days of my life. His yoke is easy and his burden is light. My God is. And to make it understood, I'm fucking music when I'm rolling through my hood. And I was. And to make it understood, I'm fucking music when I'm rolling through my hood.
To receive instant notification each time I upload, please hit the subscribe button and the bell notification.
Helping you along the way. Helping you to make it through another day. Yeah. Everything you need to know that you never knew, that you need to know. I got perspective.
Do you remember where we're from? Pray you the strength to carry on.
They trying to take my inheritance. This arrogance, I'm trying to save him the embarrassment. I spit truth, they forgetting what the marriage is. The meek shall inherit the earth, the rest perishes. They taught us all to listen to Balaam with their palace and their caliphate. I'm destined for Salem, man, they rest is counterfeit. Plus it's destined to fail 'em. Shake the dust off this city, man. Who coming with me? There's a light at the end of it. I see you shine, getting life with the benefits. That's me and mine, holding fast to the legacy, whether the rain or shine.
Do you remember where we're from? Pray you the strength to carry on. Will you step into the sun? Do you remember where we're from? Pray you the strength carry on my side? Will you step into the sun? Smile, smile,
I've always been a unique person, you know what I mean? Sort of laid back in a way, but very adamant and very passionate about what I believe. I think a lot of times that sort of throws people off because they don't expect me to have the mindset or the process of thought that I do. And so when you come in to watch my channel, you may hear a myriad of thoughts and ideas that could be different from others. What I want you to do is just sit back, like, share, and subscribe.
But my love, there is no light at the end of the tunnel. You must realize that the light is you.
Yeah, you awake? Wake up, you who sleep, and arise from the dead. And Mashiach shall give you light. Yeah. He took me high on a mountain, told me look around. What I found was astounding. If I bow down, he could make anything happen. Surpassing everything I could ever imagine. Flying first class, relaxing, living my passion. Guaranteed satisfaction. High end estates, cash and high fashion. High stakes, high class and high flashing. High life, lights, camera for action. The most fly, said I'm destined to be just like the most high. So when they crown me king, I want the power it brings. Set my throne above everything. Got the world in the palm of my hand. Now raise your hands high. I'm in high demand. Yeah. If you don't know who I am, I'm the man. They got my head gassed up to the red line, believing that the world is mine, but it's all a lie. Said I'm not of this world, so I'm hoping I'm not throwing my pearls to swine.
I tell her this little light of mine, I gotta let it shine, shine, let it shine, let it shine.
You see this light? I guess I was supposed to respect it and give a toast, but it wasn't what I expected. With truth approach, they rejected it. They mediocre at best, it's just they'll never accept it. We get affected by the time invested. You think they blessed it, what they spitting is septic. Poison in the mind, they lies neglect what's already written. I'm rolling with the elect, you can check how they kicking it. They've been afflicted, now we gotta move mountains to fix it. No doubt, they going all out, man, I'm getting sick with how they try to reroute the ecliptic. Living in a time predicted, keeping it cryptic. They're passing it off for something to get with. I'd rather find a way around the elliptic and get this house in order before they find me evicted. Yeah, try to keep me gassed up all the way to the red line, believing that the world is mine, but it's all a lie. See, I'm not of this world, so I'm hoping I'm not throwing my pearls to swine.
I tell her this little light of mine, I gotta let it shine, shine, let it shine, let it shine.
You see this light? I'ma let it shine.
This little light of mine, I gotta let it shine, shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light of mine, I gotta let it shine, shine, let it shine, let it shine.
You see this light? I'ma let it shine.
This little light of mine, I gotta let it shine, shine, let it shine.
Well, hello, and welcome to Sunday Dinner. We are so pleased to have each and every one of you here with us today. It has been an amazing week this past week. We've heard a lot of things, we've seen a lot of things, but Yah has brought us through each and every one of them. And I want to say welcome. Let's go ahead and take a really quick roll call here. Let's see, we've got Ronnie Man who's sitting right here with his sister, Teresa. How's it going, Teresa? You say you're sitting into the new house. It's been hectic. Settling into the new house has been hectic. You guys know me. So I'm looking forward to this Sunday dinner, and we are so happy that you are here. Hello, hello, Anarchy Television. How are you? It's good to see you with the eyeballs. Diane Brown. Oh my, I made it to Sunday dinner. Yes, you did. And we're very happy to have you. We've got a nice spread before you. As you can see, the table that Ronnie Mann is displaying from his beautiful home. And that is a real Sunday dinner. Let's see. Anarchy is saying hey to Teresa. Teresa said hey to him. And my main sister on the scene. Got two of y'all in here today, Sandy Aaron. And we have the mod extraordinaire, my oldest and strongest friend here in the chat, as far as my female friends go. One Peaches 41. How are you? Good to see you tonight. Hazel Brown, how's it going? We got downtown Diane Brown and downtown Hazel Brown in the house. Happy to see both of you. Let's see who else we've got going on here. Well, we've got a lot of folk that are not necessarily. Hey, there's the sister. There is the sister. Oh, hello, Sister Sanya. It's so good to see you. And that beautiful table you got spread there. I know that I've been letting everybody know that very soon, and hopefully as soon as your schedule permits, we'd love to have you come on and share with the ladies exactly how they can be a virtuous woman, a Proverbs 31, 10 through 31 woman as you are. You live it and you show it, and we want you to impart some of that to all of the other ladies, especially the younger women who are really wanting to see their families do well, to see their spouses do well, and who really honestly just want to impart wisdom. So welcome to you, sister. Well, folks, like we said at the top here, it has been an amazing week. A lot of things are coming out. We've had a lot of funny things going on around us, and then some really tragic things. There is something that's going to be dropped into the Patreon box that's already done. While I was on the road, I just got an idea and decided, hey, you know what? Let's just take it on the road with Fifi. Let's just tell everybody what we're thinking while we're riding down the road. And that's exactly what I did. So I put something together for you guys so that you will have it over there on the Patreon. And then there's a couple of other things that I just said, you know what? Put it over on, not BitChute, because I don't really put a lot over there. I do have a lot of stuff over there now, but Brighteon, as you guys know. But definitely, I got to tweak it because I tried to upload it from my cell phone. It didn't work too good. But nonetheless, look soon, because I got an impartation in my brain cells. And it's all about the DMX situation as it relates to what's going on now with him all of a sudden having this big appendix that's about to come out, a documentary as well as an album, which I'm sure we all knew about that. But yeah, so we're going to talk about time. I'm going to give a little bit of, my perspective as it relates to time. And then, of course, our brother is going to just take it on home. Hey, look who's here. Steve Willis. Hey, you guys. Great to see you all. Please hit the like button. Help with the AI. Yes, sir. Thank you kindly. Thank you. R. Jones, hello to you. Appreciate all of your comments on the last few videos that we've had. And look who it is. It's part of the Unstoppable crew. Hello there. Come on. How are you? So good to see you. And she says hello to everyone. All right. So now when we think about time, of course, we're thinking about a lot of different things. And I know that the one thing that I always say, even to my kids, is, of course, that everyone says it's not unique to me. And that is that time is a commodity that you just cannot get back. So what we do with our time is important. Right now, the days that we are living in, the time is very short. So many of us have left the regular church. We've left the traditional church. And in the traditional church, a lot of times we were taught to go out and witness two by two. And what I'm here to encourage you today is to go out and witness two by two, because the time is winding up. The time is getting shorter. Well, as Ronnie will share with us in a few, it's got to get shorter. It's definitely got to get shorter, right? So, what am I saying when I say go out and witness two by two? What I'm saying is where there is an opportunity to witness and to tell somebody the truth. And in this case, right now, you'll have to be led by the Ruach HaKodesh, the teacher, the paraclete. He's going to have to lead you and guide you. But in order for us to get there, we've got to make sure that we are consecrated. And we've got to make sure that we are looking and digging into the word so that we are equipped with what needs to be said when we get out there. This is that time. It's past that time. So the harvest that's out there is really, really plentiful. There's just not enough workers, and that's the word. So that is what I want us to focus on. What time is it? What are we dealing with? What is the timetable? We've spoken here on the Lockhart perspective with regards to the whole end time. And of course, we never finished because it is an ever-changing thing. As our world around us changes, we begin to learn more and more and more. But I know the last time that our brother and sister, man, were here, specifically, we were dealing with the city. We were dealing with the time span of from one day to the next period of time. We were dealing with the cloud of witnesses. We were dealing with a lot of stuff. But right now, folks, we are in the most exciting time that we could possibly be in, because he warned us and shared with us exactly what would happen. Isn't that right, Ronnie? He told us what would be the sign and how we would know that it was the time frame. And it's in that time frame now. So I want to encourage everybody right now that if you know some truth and you are led by the Spirit, the Holy Spirit, that you share it, because now is the time to impart that wisdom and let people make their choices. It doesn't matter what it is, as long as it's according to the word, and as long as it is giving someone truth that did not know that truth, because this is the time. It waits for no man. And now, today is the day of salvation, but not like what we understood once before. It's understanding in its entirety what we are persevering through. Christ in us, the hope of glory, is in us, gets us stronger. We understand we are the temple. We understand that we are the church. We understand that we are the body. But what are we saved from? And what does that term even mean? It means spared from. It could mean several different things when you really break it down. But now is the day to acknowledge who he is, what he has done for us, how we need to be set apart, how we need to be separated. These are things that can only come from him to you as it relates to the teaching that you glean from the word when you sit down in a meditative state to meditate on that word. Ronnie, man, how are you? Are you with me? Are you here? I hope you are, because by the looks of that table that's sitting there, you could be eating some dessert. Shabbat shalom to you, my brother, and Shabbat shalom to everyone here. This day is our actual Sabbath because of the fact that we followed the moon. Brother Ronnie, how are you? I hear you if you in the refrigerator. Got to come up to the sun a little bit, my friend. So yes, folks, that's exactly what we want to do. It's been a long time. Kimon says, it has been a long time. It's been a long time since you visited. Well, we're glad you're here. And God blessed America. Another one of my OG subscribers here. Remember when it was just us, just a few of us, and I'm so glad to see you. Here's my piece of truth. Our world is where it is because of too much greed and not enough God. And you know what? That's exactly the truth. But let's add some more to that, shall we? I want to add just another little nugget. I want to add just another little nugget to that. It's also where it is because the body, and I got to look at you for this, but I look a little kooky. Yeah, maybe you can see me. Because the body has not been where the body is supposed to be. We have not been in the right place at the right time. Right? That's part of the problem. We've not been where we are supposed to be. And so when you consider the fact that the wheat and the tare are coming up together and there's only a handful of the remnant that's actually going to actually be the ones that are actually pushing through, then you got to get it and say, oh, wow. So all the stuff from all the believers that I know, all the people that I thought that were believers that were, living their life the right way, they really were not doing what they should have been doing. And woe is me, because now I got to investigate myself. So yes, there's a bunch of greed on every level. And I mean, on every level. God blessed America is absolutely right. There's a lot of greed. But when we separate ourselves and come out from among her, as the word has told us to, as our Father has told us to come out from her, then we understand that that system ain't our system. And that gives us some happiness, should give us some pause on the one hand, because it makes us wonder, what have I been doing with all my time that I've been over here? Well, it's because we were learning how to love him there. And that's how I'll have to say it. We were learning how to love our Father while we were in that other place. We were learning how to study. We were learning everything. And now, because we have all earnestly decided to tell him, I want to know you. I want to seek your face and I want to know you. Show me who you are. Now he begins to give us that truth. And now that truth is here. And now that truth is here. And now that the truth is in our hearts, now we can speak it. And that's where I'm telling everybody that now is the time, because it waits for nobody. We can all think of an opportunity where we've had time to do something and we ran out of time. Well, we don't want that to happen this time. We want us to make sure that we are all pushing forward and that we are finding out what he wants us to share. Because see, back when we were in the old church and we used to all go, I'm saying the old church, because if you look back at some of the remnants of what we thought was church, remember I shared with you guys a while back that it was exactly the way that it is right now back then, but we just couldn't see it. Remember that we talked about that? That's exactly what I'm talking about. So what we did then was a totally different thing. But now we are still telling everyone about the one that came to die for us. We are still telling everybody all of that good stuff. But the sad part now is now we got to start to pull them apart, because they're still stuck in the mindset of the world. And that's what we don't want. We don't want people to fall by the wayside. So, Ronnie Man, are you back with us?
I hope I'm back with you.
We hear you now loud and clear, brother. You go ahead and take it.
Man, it is I'm really excited to be here this evening at Sunday dinner. Hello, everybody. And hello to you, Miss Felicia Lockhart. And,
Ola. How are ya? Oh, we got some new people coming in here, Ronnie Man. Look at this. We've got Leaf Desi here. And we also have here right now one. Loud and clear, he hears you, Mr. God Blessed America. All right, go ahead, brother. I was just laying down the groundwork, just letting us know, hey, it is that time, and it doesn't wait for anybody. And you know, the one scripture that tells us that now, behold now, right now, this is the time. This is the day of salvation. So we can break that word down. Another thing is, I was looking in the interlinear on our drive in, and I was looking at Ecclesiastes 3, ironically enough, dealing with the time for this, the time for that, and all this good stuff that's in there. That's some good stuff. And then when I was reading it in the Hebrew, I was like, whoa, wait a minute. When it was breaking it down some more, thanks to you, I'm intrigued more than ever with the Hebrew. Anthony Van Zant, brother, how are you? It's good to see you. Very good to see you. So, what say you, Ronnie Man?
Well, I mean, I do have some meat and potatoes here for us this evening, but in all honesty, you presented an appetizer that like we can just go ahead and sit back and relax now and just get on cruise control.
It
You
was the
you pretty
amuse
much
bouche. It was an
you
amuse bouche.
yeah,
An
you've
amuse
pretty
bouche.
much hit
Little bite
everything
size.
on the head.
Little bite
You
size.
you
Amuse bouche.
you touched on everything that needs to be touched on. What we didn't actually do is just pinpoint it in scripture, but you hit it. You nailed it. Like the time is now. We have to be diligent. We have to be vigilant. And what does that entail? What does that actually mean?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
how do we go about doing that? Because
Amen.
we think that we know, but if I asked you right now, can you verbalize it?
Hmm.
Could you give me an objective? Could you
Hmm.
give me a directive on how to do it specifically? Okay, you could quote a scripture to tell me, but can you demonstrate it? Can you break it down for me and tell me the step by step detail on how to go about doing it? And if that is our calling, if that's what we're supposed to do, then we need to know how to do it, and we need to be able to articulate.
Hmm.
So, otherwise, me and my wife, we say this often. We can't leave things haphazardly, just hanging out there. We have to. If I sit here and assume something, then that's exactly what it is. I'm assuming, and I really don't know exactly what's going on. You can assume nothing, so we have to be specific, and we have to be detailed in demonstrating and articulating the objective. And
Hmm.
in all honesty, I just wanted to shout out Anthony Van Zant because last time uh, you went live, well, not the last time you went live, but before you went on your nice, much needed hiatus, Anthony Van Zant came up here, and that brother got a smooth voice,
Oh, yes, he does.
smooth
Yes,
voice.
he
So
does.
so I came up here. I had to drop it down a couple. Hey, how you doing,
Had to
Lockhart?
get your Barry White on.
Yeah, you had to do it.
Had to
That
get
brother.
your Barry White.
So I'm real cautious about how I'm speaking now that I've heard a true brother,
Okay.
a true brother.
Okay.
Well,
I
that
told
baritone
everybody.
boy.
Tell everybody to look up his channel. You'll hear this man singing. And I was looking, I'm like, who is this? And he is just getting down. He got the guitar and he's an amazingly anointed person. He really honestly is. As most of the people in our chat as co-laborers are, we've been so blessed to have such an eclectic group of individuals who are really a blessing. And it's just I mean, just awesome. I mean, just awesome. So, not to delay our time because we know we only have about 40 minutes left together. The time right now is 28 minutes since we are into the show. Of course, we started up with a little bit of our music at first because we had to have some of Ronnie's music. I want you guys to get as used to it as possible. The new music is off the chain. That's all I'm going to say. That's I can't say anymore. But it is all uplifting. It's all praiseworthy, and he's used his time wisely as it relates to what he has put down. So thank you so much for producing such good stuff, sir. Thank you, thank you. Now let's get into this meat and potatoes. I
Okay.
got the dessert. I got you. Come on, let's roll.
Okay. So you want me to come on, or did you want to come? Did you want to say what you had to offer, or you wanted me to just
Well,
come
you
out
know
with?
what I had to offer was a little bit more on the cosmic side, and what I decided that I was going to do was I was going to let you roll, and as the Holy Spirit gives me, I will add to it what I have to add to it. But I think that my piece is a little more on the well. Let me just go ahead and lay it on out there. Time is so valuable. These are just a few points. Time is so valuable that they have attempted to manipulate it on every front. Think about that, and by they, you know who I mean. Time is so valuable
Great.
that
Great.
they
All
have
right. So
attempted to manipulate it. So I'm going to lay that one out. And then if you want me to hit another one, I'll definitely do it. But that's one of my key points is that if it were not valuable, they would not be attempting to change the dates and change the time and take centuries and take
all
minutes and
right. Okay.
hours. Okay.
let's break it down. I did send you a grouping of slides. Do you have them?
Oh, the grouping. Let's go ahead and get the grouping. Hold on. You say hello to everyone, and I'm grouping it.
Okay. So yeah, we're gonna serve you well this evening. But while you're pulling that up, Felicia, just to give you a round and about. So we're talking about time. So let's go ahead and break down, um, you know, time, not philosophically, but mythologically. And this is just an overview. We are by no means going super deep and going into depth and with extreme breakdowns, but just an overview to get the brain churning, to get us started in the right direction. We're going to discuss time. So time is historically, you hear you have personifications like Father Time. Father Time. He he actually, if you look at him, Father Time resembles death, the personification of death. You know that with the black robe and with the hood on, with the sickle. Father Time has that same sickle. And if you want to connect certain dots, Santa Claus is actually he coincides. He's very heavily influenced by Father Time. Santa Claus actually was Father Time. Then he became Santa Claus as the traditions morphed into what we call, Christmas or what have you. But originally he was Father Time. So have you pulled up the first slide yet? And if you haven't,
I
it's
was
okay.
asking if you
I'll
could
just
hear
talk
me. I
about it.
have all of them. No, I have everything, but I was wanting to give you the floor. Yes, I have them. I have the first one, which is Psalms. Is that the one you wanted to go to? Psalms 90?
No, you might have gotten them backwards. Then the first one is Chronos.
Got it. I'm here.
Okay, so
Okay.
Chronos is time. Chronos is time, and this is where we get the term chronology from Chronos. Chronos is the Greek mythological entity um, called time. Except for we call it time, he's called Chronos. I just wanted to lay that out there. Chronos is here. Let me.
It's on the screen now.
Okay, okay. So while you're pulling that up, I'll just pull up some information on him. Chronos or Cronus, however you
Hmm.
want to, but he is one of the titans. He's one of the great quote unquote gods of the Greek pantheon. He's an Olympian god, and he is equated with
A baby
with
eater, obviously.
yeah, because in actuality, Kronos is Saturn. Saturn
Okay.
is the Romanized version of what Kronos is in the Greek. And
Hmm.
mythologically, he ate his children because he heard a prophecy that one of his children were going to grow up and take over. They were going to conquer him and take over as, king or as Lord or as God. And
Hmm.
element of time, time, you get older, the next generation becomes more powerful, and then they end up taking over, and then you fall off into oblivion or what
Hmm.
have you. So what he did was he ate all of his children.
Hmm.
So so he can dispel, so he wouldn't have to worry about that prophecy that was foretold.
Hmm.
And but like I said, his Roman name is Saturn, and you can find out a whole lot of interesting things. I will say this to the ones who have ears to hear: his father is Uranus,
Hmm. Hmm.
so that's very interesting.
Hmm.
Uh, if you understand, Greek mythology and just ancient mythology in general, uh, uh, Uranus is the father figure, and Uranus and Gaia, which is Earth, um, gave birth to time or Chronos. So there's that, and like I said, that's just a brief overview to get you um, on a certain wavelength to go dig in and find certain things that you need to find out. But I wanted to correlate the word chronos with chronology, the chronological order of things. That root word came from chronos, which is the Greek. And
Mhm.
so if you move on to the next slide, and the crazy thing is, when we get down to it, it always goes back. Everything that we our day to day, actually, all of our verbiage, it goes back to the mythological story. All of these stories, everything that we do is rooted in everything. Even the days of the week, the word day itself, all of it goes back to myth, and it all goes back to the Greek mythos. But the Greek mythos got all of their ideas and stories from an even more ancient culture, the Sumerian culture, the Akkadian culture, the Phoenicians, things like that. And then it morphed into the Greek tradition, and then Rome conquered Greece and then took over and then just relabeled every single thing that the ancients did. They relabeled it and then they gave it to us, and then it has perpetuated throughout time. And everything that we see now is a remnant of the old via Rome. It's always the case.
Okay,
So,
very good. I want to remind everybody that unfortunately, and I have to say unfortunately, biting my tongue, um, any comments that are made in the chat that can be identified as something that would get me suspended again, you will notice that it'll either be myself or one of the mods or TLP, which is me, will take it out. Now, it doesn't mean that your comment wasn't true. Yeah, your comment is right on point. What it is we're dealing with a bevy of sensitive um, individuals that have laid out some rules that are steeped in mm, bull feces.
frustrationism.
Bull feces. Okay, go ahead, Ronnie, finish. So when you guys see me move something, please do not be angry. I love you guys, and what you're saying is absolutely true. But you'll see me remove a comment, or one of the mods will remove a comment, because unfortunately, anything that's a comment that is left that I don't get, they strike my channel for it. Now, here's the irony. Here's the irony. I just got an email from somebody the other day that says, hey, I clicked on a link that was in one of the comments, and it was something profane, something disgusting that it went to. So I feel like if they can get, me for making, for a mistake where somebody made a comment that was a truthful comment, why can't they get those cats off of these channels where you've got all this disgusting stuff? And then my sister, Sandy Aaron, be going in on them. Sandy says, who are you? Whoa. She asked one day, who are you? Legion? OMG. So apologizing in advance. I didn't mean to disturb you, Ronnie, but I had to get that out there. Okay, so yes, it's too many. Okay, go.
Okay, so this is the thing. Time is relative. Time is finite as well, though, but it's relative, and we can manipulate it in so many fashions. Because in actuality, we're not manipulating time at all. We're manipulating we're giving you the illusion that time is manipulated. And when the vast majority goes along with a thing, then that thing becomes the thing. And when you're born into a certain construct, you didn't realize that that thing wasn't a thing, because you were born into it. So it's always been a thing to you. So it's perceived as fact in your brain, when in fact it's a manipulation of and we're living in a manipulated this whole entire thing, this whole matrix is designed specifically by a group of people from a long time ago, and it's just morphed into what it's become. And we think that it is, and it just is, but in actuality it's not.
Well, we
And
got a great question from Mazam Alice, and I think that's what you're basically what you're saying right now. She asks, "Does this have to do with the Nephil?" I think she's Nephilim is what she has here, where the gods came from. So,
well,
do you want to answer that
well, I mean, that's what I was saying when I was speaking
in
very
code?
coy, right? When I was speaking very coyly, when I said it's interesting that you have to know certain aspects of mythology, though. But it's interesting that uh, that Kronos, who is the father of time, he actually has a father, and that father is Uranus. Um, what we call that planet Uranus or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But Uranus is actually the father of all that we know, super ancient, super ancient. But it even has a father, and that father has a father as well. But everything that we know actually comes from that. Everything is an offset from that, and the Nephilim or whatever are clearly sons of Uranus. So when she says what she says, she's saying it. She is saying it. It's just you have to know the intricate ins and outs of who these players are. You paint it with a very broad brush when you say Nephilim, but Nephilim are a certain group of people, and you can identify them through ancient history. Actually, you can pinpoint who they are. But yes, that was the long version of yes.
All
Yes,
righty.
she Nephilim
Okay.
is. But what I'm getting at is that time can be perceived can uh it's an illusion of being manipulated. It's very concrete because in Genesis it tells you that he made the sun, the moon, and the stars for signs, for seasons, for days, and for years. So the true calendar, the true clock, the clock that we see every single day in the sky is the sun, the moon, and the stars. That is what tells us what time it is.
So
That is
why did they change it? Tell us why they would ever do that. Why did that happen?
Well, I mean, you can speculate on what their prerogatives were or what have you, and to what level of narcissism would cause you and bring you to do such things. But in Daniel, it tells you, it's prophesied that this particular entity that is in power in the last days would even think to change laws and change times. And the sun and the moon and the stars, those are laws. Those are laws. Like you cannot manipulate them whatsoever. Like it literally is clockwork. That is clockwork. The sun, it rises, it sets. The moon, the moon rises and it sets. The stars are in position, and they are the second hand, the minute hand, and the hour hand of this reality. And they want to switch it up or what have you. You can see how the biblical narrative plays out. They want to switch it up because they know that time is short and that time is running out. So they want to manipulate it and try to squeeze out as much time as possible because they know that their time is short. Nonetheless, though, when we have our minds wrapped up in this construct and in this societal structure, we think that we know what time it is. But
But
in
they really,
actuality,
but you would have to. Would you agree that to an extent they know the word better than most believers, and so they're able to sort of slip some things in there? Would you say that's a fair assessment?
I would say to a very, very large extent that they know the word way more than professed believers do. They know the word intricately. They actually they live by the word. They live closer to the word more so than your average everyday Americanized Christian.
So then it
Um,
means that we really got to get on our. We have to really, really study to show. That's the reason why he tells us to study to show ourselves approved.
exactly, because we're clouded. We have a um, we're living in a fog. We're living in a simulated. I mean, maybe realistically, maybe actually simulated,
Oh, it's
but I
real. It's a
mean,
real simulation.
but I mean metaphorically, simulated. It's all simulated. It's all a construct. They constructed these things and they're contrived, and we believe them. Like for example, today is what, April 11th, 2021. Everybody that's in earshot of this knows this, but in actuality, April 11th, 2021 is just a thing that somebody made up, and they enforced it, and then it became a thing. And now that's what it is, but it's actually not April 11th, 2021. We just say that it is, and that is what we use collectively to unify our our understanding of what position we are in this time. I want to say timeline, but it's a circle. But in this
then let me make sure that I understand for the layman. I don't mean to cut you off, but just so that the layman that's out there that may be following on the replay or whatnot. So basically what you're saying is that there was a set standard time that our Father gave us. And that set standard time so long ago was manipulated. Now, I know there are some of us, the first thing we'll probably think of is Constantine or the Gregorian calendar. But what you're saying is even those humans were motivated by some group that even predated them. Am I understanding that right?
Yeah, it's all exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And let me be frank, let me be blunt. These are what the majority of people understand to be the fallen angels. Mm-hmm. They've given us all ideas. They've given us all these things. They're very useful. Don't get me wrong. They're very valuable. Mm-hmm. But nonetheless, when they can be manipulated for your own doing and for what? Greed and power, for the greed hungry and the power hungry, and they can be orchestrated on a large scale to manipulate the masses. Then it becomes something else. Okay. But yeah, these ideas, this knowledge, it was given to us by the quote unquote fallen angels, and certain power structures have taken that and manipulated it to, for the sake of power, for the sake of power. And they've obtained the power because they can tell you what time it is. And this is what I'm getting at. I'm saying all of that to say this. You can manipulate time, and whoever can manipulate time is in control. These are the people who are in control. And I'll give you a very something that is very pertinent even right now. We just had, was it spring forward? Mm-hmm. So we just moved into daylight savings time. Mm-hmm. Everybody turned their clock backwards,
except for Arizona. I think Arizona, and I don't know who else.
But see, that's what I'm saying. But there's certain governmental entities that say, no, we're not going to do that. Mm-hmm. So what I'm saying is that group of people said that they're not going to do it. There's another group of people said that they will do it. Like individuals don't have any control. They're always governing powers, governing entities that have that control.
Now, I do want to ask you, don't let me forget to ask you about the government control. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay. So the other day, and I'm going to be playing that video very shortly here, we did a piece on Father Ernetti, who actually literally was, according to some publications that I found, not only did he dabble in this time machine thing, but he was also an alleged, and I say allegedly because I only saw one piece that said that he was actually an exorcist. So he exorcised or whatnot. But the government there that he was in literally stated that nobody had the opportunity. I'm going to play it. I'm just going to play it. But it does deal with governments. Let me play that now as opposed to later, because I want you to then just take off because, I want to go right into that right quick, because this goes right along with the piece of time that we're dealing with and that we're talking about. And want to get that done there. Hold on here.
broad perspective.
From the 1960s until the 1990s, Father Pellegrino Ernetti claimed that he helped to create a time machine called the chronovisor, which he used to observe the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. From the still unsolved disappearance of Emanuela Orlandi in 1983 to a covert collection of documents known as the Apostolic Archive, the Vatican is seemingly shrouded in secret. Of all the Vatican's purported secrets, however, the sci fi legend of the chronovisor has to be its most bizarre. Said to be a device with the ability to see through time, the existence of the chronovisor has never been proven, but a 2002 book by Vatican priest Father Francois Brun says otherwise. According to Brun, the chronovisor was developed by Father Pellegrino Ernetti, a Benedictine monk. Ernetti allegedly kept the device secret until the early 1960s when he confided in Brun and told him that 12 scientists, including the famed physicist Enrico Fermi and former Nazi scientist Werner von Braun, helped him to build it. Made of cathode rays antenna and metals that receive sound and light signals on all wavelengths, the chronovisor purportedly allowed the team of scientists to document events of the past, including the crucifixion of Jesus. The machine, therefore, could validate the teachings of the Bible simply by providing a first hand look into the past. The de facto resource on the chronovisor is Brun's 2002 book. In it, Brun explains how he met Father Ernetti on a boat ride across Venice's Grand Canal in the early 1960s. Like Brun, Ernetti was well versed in the history of ancient languages, which made for natural conversation. But soon, Ernetti directed their conversation and their chat towards science. Brun had been expounding on the many ways in which the Christian Bible could be interpreted when Ernetti suggested that he had access to the truth via a time traveling device. Ernetti claimed that he and a group of renowned scientists came together in a mutual quest to uncover the past. One scientist was Fermi, who won the Nobel Prize in Physics in 1938, and another one was the ex Nazi von Braun, whose work at NASA got America to the moon. According to Ernetti, the device had several antennae, three of which were made of mysterious metals that picked up sound and light waves across the entire respective spectrums. A direction finder on the device was allegedly tuned into a specific era one wanted to view, while the screen displayed it and a recording device captured the footage. The chronovisor was thus more of a window into the past than a time machine. Ernetti said that it worked like a television, catching echoes from days long gone that had been floating in space, and he claimed to have seen some astonishing things. Ernetti recounted how he witnessed Marcus Tullus Cicero's speech to the Roman Senate in 63 BC. He said, quote, his gestures, his intonation, how powerful they were, what flights of oratory, end quote. Ernetti made additional increasingly bolder claims, such as having observed the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. From the founding of the Roman Empire to the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, Ernetti alleged that he and his team had taken a peek into some of the most important events in the Bible. On May 2nd, 1972, an Italian publication published his claim titled, A Machine That Photographs the Past Has Finally Been Invented. The article covered Ernetti's shocking statements for all of Italy to read. Alongside the admittedly dubious claims, the magazine published an alleged photograph from the chronovisor that Ernetti claimed captured the Romans crucifying Jesus Christ. The 1972 article also purported that Ernetti witnessed the Last Supper and kept a photograph of the biblical event for himself as a souvenir. Ernetti maintained until his death in 1994 that the machine had been hidden away by the Vatican in order to safeguard it from falling into the wrong hand. Interestingly, the Vatican decreed in 1988 that, quote, anyone using an instrument of such characteristics would be excommunicated, end quote. Shortly before he died, Ernetti wrote an open letter adamantly reiterating that the device was real. He claimed that Pope Pius XII forbade us to disclose any details about this device because the machine was very dangerous. It can restrain the freedom of man. As tantalizing as the chronovisor may sound, many of Ernetti's claims have since been debunked. Skeptics have maintained that his purported photograph of Jesus was merely a cheap reproduction of a statue housed in an Umbrian church. Another magazine argued that the photograph was merely a reversed image of Jesus from a postcard made in the Italian town of Colla Venezia. In 1996, Paracelsus magazine issued further critiques of Ernetti's claims. The piece questioned why Ernetti hadn't published detailed instructions on how to build the device in order to legitimize his claims. Furthermore, the article revealed how the chronovisor's designs bore a stark resemblance to a similar device in a 1947 sci fi novella. Some say that Father Pellegrino Ernetti confessed to having fabricated the whole story before his death on April 8, 1994. But this remains hotly contested, with von Braun, Fermi, Ernetti, and Brunn now dead. Only the intriguing mystery remains. In that sense, the chronovisor has stood the test of time as a Vatican mystery for the ages. This is Felicia Lockhart, and this has been the Lockhart Perspective. Well, so that was the purpose of me asking you the question about the people. Now, please, please, please focus on the individuals who was working on that, allegedly working on the chronovisor with him. Now, if you pay close attention and if you go and look into the link that shows you the whole story and then do some independent study on this guy, first of all, he was kicking it with Warner von Braun. He was kicking it with him and a few other people that were pretty big heavyweights. Again, none of them are here to ask the question. But when you do some real research on those individuals, then you have to get the clue that, let's ask the question, why would the Catholic Church then come out and say, anybody that tampers with a device like this, you'll be excommunicated? How could you tamper with something that wasn't real, right? Let's go ahead and finish. Joseph Francis Burton asked a pretty good question. Why did I never hear? Yes. And you know what? I don't know, but I love Art Bell, rest his soul. Yeah. But the point is, to me, is that it does show us that there has been this value in controlling time. There is a value in controlling time. And the purpose for me putting the last outgoing cat there was because of some of the sketchy rumors that we've heard surrounding him and said item. I'm only going to say this one thing. Again, this is my wee part, and that is his uncle was the individual who went to retrieve whose chests with all of his information in there. And allegedly, it was well over 12 or 13 chests that was supposed to be brought back, but it was all 18 of them was supposed to be there, and they only brought back a handful of them. And then all of a sudden, he, with not a wrinkle on his eye, create something fantastic. Everything that we think may not be, just might be. That's all I'm saying. I'm just putting it out there. We cannot discount everything, because the one thing we do know is there is a word that starts with a C and ends with an N. And somebody just put it in the chat a little bit ago. And if it was not true that that time is an important commodity, then what starts with a C and ends with an N wouldn't even care about it. I'm going to leave that right there. Go ahead there, Ronnie. Would you like me to go to another slide, kind sir? I think the next one is When Did America? I think that's going to be the next one, is When Did America Adopt the Gregorian calendar? And then the purpose of everything here being all through Rome. Yes, it was. Let's see. Joseph says, I thought that outgoing photo was highlighting Baron. Well, what it is if you remember, there is the story that is from the writer of this book back in the 1800s or something like that. And it was Baron von Trump. And he had a fairy godfather or a confidant. His name was Don. And he had a little dog. And he favors his son. And so everybody was just saying, gee whiz, what a coincidence. And then as far as he is concerned, his dad, there have been some rumors that he most recently was dabbling in some stuff where he could see. It didn't say he went back to anything. It didn't say he went forward into anything, but it did say that he could see something. Now, I don't believe a lot of stuff, but I don't discount a lot of stuff either, especially when we're considering that we're dealing with Wizards of Oz and Samantha's. Wizards of Oz and Samantha's. Do you remember that show? I used to love Bewitched. So when we're dealing with, and I loved The Wizard of Oz, it was one of my favorite movies. So y'all got to get with me with starts with the C and ends with the E. Okay? I used to love The Wizard of Oz, especially when Michael Jackson and what's her name? Diana Ross, the boss, was in it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So primarily what I'm trying to say is when you're dealing with people that are like that, Diana Ross, Michael Jackson, Wizard of Oz, and when you're dealing with people who are like Samantha and Endora, you remember Endora, as well as Tabitha. When you're dealing with that, then you cannot put anything past it. See, it's when you start to shut your mind off and say, nah, that's when they get you. Yes, Mr. Leslie, the Wiz. All right, Ronnie Man, are you back? Are you back with us? All righty, sir. Now, which slide do you want me to go to?
Let's stay on this slide.
All right, let's go on back over there. Let me get on over there. And I'm going to give us some intermission music. You can't win. You can't break even when you can't get out of the game. I'm sorry.
Just bring us up to speed.
Okay. Where are we giving us the 11 days, right?
Right.
There you go.
So Rome, so we are under the time constraints and the time stamp of modern day Rome, what Rome has told us what time it is. And ancient Rome actually had an 8-day calendar. They actually had an 8-day calendar. So, I mean, they've been going off of 8 days for millennia and millennia and millennia. They went to 9 and they had 10 months, and that 10th month was almost like 3 months long until the spring equinox came around, and then it became the first month again, and then they had, like I said, 8 days. So sometimes they had for a while, for a long while, they had 8 days. At one point in time, they had 9 days, and then they went into the Eastern way of dictating time, which was 7 days, and then they pretty much stole that concept and created it and made it or made it their own and created what we have here today. And that first attempt at doing that was the Julian calendar. And the Julian calendar was it was a solar calendar, and they were off. Yeah, I don't know the particulars as far as the amount of time that they were off, but as time progresses, if you're off, even if you're off by a degree, 300 years later, that degree has expanded exponentially. So 800 years later, you're way off. The calendar is way off. So they had to readjust it and tweak it in the 1500s, and they did that with what we call now the Gregorian calendar. And they did some minor tweaking to it, and it is it's still a solar calendar. It operates on the summer solstice, the spring equinox, and are based off of, and it was that was implemented in the 1500s. Yet people, you've been going with the Julian calendar for 2,000 years, give or take, a little bit less than 2,000 years. You've been going with the Julian calendar forever. So when they introduced the Gregorian calendar, people weren't having that, and they didn't go for it. So that is just the premise of what I'm about to read.
Okay.
And it says, I'll just start reading the 11 days referred to here. It says, give us our 11 days. Those 11 days were actually the English calendar riots of 1752. The 11 days referred to here are the quote unquote lost days. 11 days of September back in 1752 skipped when Britain changed over from the Julian calendar to the Gregorian calendar, bringing us into line with most of Europe, because most of Europe had already adapted to the Gregorian calendar. Britain waited about 200 years before they finally adapted. The Gregorian calendar is today's international calendar. It's the civil calendar, and it's named after the man who first introduced it in February of 1582. So this is 1582. These 11 days that ended up eventually being lost was in 1752. So we're talking about 180. We're talking about almost 200 years before the westernized world fully got on board with what is going on with the calends change, the changing of the calends. So it took 200 years. So people were very time was arbitrary, or I should say timekeeping, as far as calendar measures go, was arbitrary for like 200 years, depending on what region you were residing, or what country you were from. You would say it's such and such day, but other people would say no, it's such and such day. It was completely arbitrary for a long time. It says before 1752, Britain and her empire followed the Julian calendar, first implemented by Julius Caesar in 46 BC. So we're talking about a long time here. However, this calendar had inbuilt errors of 1 day every 128 years due to a miscalculation of the solar year by 11 minutes. This affected the date of Easter, traditionally observed on March 21st. So March 21st was actually, Easter was actually a set date on the calendar up until the 1500s. Then it became, it coincided with the cycle of the moon. That's why it fluctuates. Sometimes it's in March, sometimes it's in April, because it coincides with the moon cycles. However, the Roman calendar initially had it stamped on to March 21st, regardless. But because of the internal errors in the calendar calculations, that kind of the calendar kind of moved away from the actual real calendar in the sky. It started to move farther and farther apart. So it began to move further away from the spring equinox with each passing year.
Okay.
To overcome this problem, the Gregorian calendar was introduced. This is a solar calendar based on a 365-day year divided into 12 months. Each month consists of 30 or 31 days in a month, February consisting of 28 days, and a leap year every 4 years adds an extra day to February, making it 29 days long. And of course, we already know this because this is the construct that we were born into. So this is regular. This is what it is. But in actuality, this has only been introduced in 1582, and it only started became standard in 1752 in Britain. So we're talking about what, 300 years? So the time that we abide by today is only 300 years old, and humans been living on this planet for a long time. So this calendar is a baby, is a infant, is a super infant, but we like live and die by it. We think that it is, but it's not. It's not, and it only is for a split second in real time in the scheme of things. So it says first to adopt the new calendar in 1582 were France, Italy, Poland, Portugal, and Spain. Turkey was the last country to officially switch to the new system on January 1st, 1927. So Turkey only has been abiding by this time, not even 100 years. Not even 100 years. So this lets you know that time, as we know it and as we calculate it, is arbitrary. It is completely just whatever we decide collectively to do. And that's what it is. However, like I said, and I'm not saying it, the biblical account states it. The sun, the moon, and the stars were made for signs, seasons, days, and years. So that lets you know that that's the calendar. That's the actual calendar that we're supposed to go.
Think about that, everybody. I mean, just that is what the moon, the sun, the star, all of that was made specifically for us to dictate what time it is.
Exactly.
Wow. And Turkey only adopted this in 1927, which means they were doing a whole bunch of other stuff, whatever. It's like, wear a mask, don't wear a mask. It's put on this hat, put on that hat. Put on a skirt, don't put on a skirt. It's like whatever they arbitrarily feel like doing today is the direction that they'll go. And so who knows how long it'll be before it gets changed again. I mean, if they can be manipulated like that.
Absolutely. Meanwhile, in the real world, and I'm talking about the real world, real world, the scriptures tell us that Yah never changes. He is the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. He is forever the same. He never changes. So his time is always. And he tells you what his time is. He said he created the sun, the moon, the stars for signs, for seasons, for days, and for years. That's the calendar. That is, and people say that's the original calendar, but I'm not saying that's the original calendar. I'm saying that's the calendar. Period. Everything else is just we're pretending. It's Pretendville, but we all agree on it. So it's just like the dollar. The dollar doesn't have any value, any true value, but we agree that it does. Therefore, it does. But that's what I was saying earlier. That that the powers that whoever can tell you what time it is, they're obviously the ones in control. So whoever is what time it is in control. And we operate under a Roman calendar that lets you know who's in control. Lets you know who's in control. And that also lets you know who has usurped the actual real authority of the Most High, who really implemented the real calendar. Food for thought.
Mr. Leslie says Turkey became a nation in 1923. Let's read a couple of these comments because everybody's putting in some pretty good comment. We're going to take a quick break here and do that. We're coming up on 1 hour, 14 minutes, and 47 seconds of having a great time. Oz and Malice, I'm going to just start up here. It says, yeah, they use astronomy based on the stars. Well, I'm going to say this. There is some truth to the stars and to the moon and to all of that. But the worshiping of it to lead and to guide our lives, no. Just like me. I mean, I believe that people who are, born in a certain time frame, they all seem to have the same characteristics. I mean, some of them, but I'm not saying that I believe and lead my life by that. Let's see. Peaches says, did the Mayans have their own calendar? Next question. Yeah, Mayan did, and their own clock also. And then Peaches says, well, I thought so. I love to see you guys having great conversations. I was looking for Black Spring with Autumn if she was still here, but I think she's already gone. Anthony Van Zandt says, remember, it wasn't talking serpent to begin with. And they're always planting landmines in advance and trying to keep us in the rabbit hole and our heels. It's dark dualities, no goods. Yeah, the phases of the moon and the sun, that like the GA guidestones. I'm so happy you just said GA. Thank you. Because girl, they be just flagging stuff. Yeah, I never understood how they can make a whole day disappear every 4 years. Listen, somebody mentioned something earlier, and I love the Book of Enoch, and I think that was 1 Peaches 41. If you go to the Book of Enoch, you will see that Enoch is being escorted from one gate to another gate to another gate to the next gate. He's going to these different gates. He's been escorted by one of the angels. And as he's talking to the angel, he's asking the angel questions. And he's saying, okay, well, what's this? Well, what's this? And they're going all over the place. Well, at one point, he begins to count how many days he was at one gate, how many days was at another gate, how many days was at another gate. I believe that in the end, he gives you the total amount. He says, and the total amount of days was this. The reason why I believe that Enoch was allowed to do that and why we were allowed to still be able to see it was because our Father wanted to let us know this is that. This is time. This other stuff they're giving you was not. And if you understand that even the wise men or the group of men who were from different areas, right? When they went to find the baby, the lad, I should say, because it wasn't a baby, he was a lad by that time. They went by a star. They followed a star. And so it would stand to reason that, yeah, they're interested in that. Go ahead, Ronnie.
Hey, y'all. Dead air. Not cool.
Okay, there you go. Did you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay,
I can hear you. That was my fault. Black Spring with Autumn says she's here.
Present. I don't see her, but I probably will in another second because this thing is slow on this side. Okay, go ahead, sir.
Okay. Well, the thing with that switch from the from the Julian calendar to the Gregorian calendar is that they had to manipulate the time a little bit to get it back on track. So we had to lose a couple of days. So it went from Tuesday to Friday. It was Tuesday, and then the next day was Friday. So they lost a couple of days. However, the British, it took them 200 years or almost 200 years to actually quote unquote fall in line or what have you. And they didn't adopt it in until 1752? The 1750s.
Okay.
So yeah, 17 it's from 1752. So it was decided that Wednesday, September 2nd 1752 would be followed by Thursday, the 14th of September, 1752.
Okay.
So they lost a lot of days. They lost 11 days worth. 11 days just gone. 11 days just vanished. So they had this huge this huge riot, and their mantra was "Give us our 11 days." Um,
Mm.
and see, this is actually where we get the 12 days of Christmas from. If you look at the calendar, some people celebrate Christmas on January 6th, and some people celebrate it on December 25th, and it's because of this time gap, because some people hold December 25th so sacred that when they lost the time, they recalculated and readjusted and just continued to keep January 6th as the actual what used to be December 25th. So and then now through tradition we have the 12 days of Christmas. Now it's the 12 days of Christmas. But that was never a thing. That just became a thing because of time manipulation. So
Mhm.
it's just interesting how they manipulate time, and then things are fabricated and become things, become
Mhm.
real. And then now it's real, but
So
it's
let me
really
ask you a question. I want you to tell us, because we only have a little bit of time left. What I want you to tell us is, what is the most fascinating thing that you personally have found in your time as you've been looking and studying time, pardon the pun? I mean, of the most fascinating things. I know some of the fascinating things that amaze me. Um, you know, I mean, there's some really good stuff. One thing that stands out to me is how well, I'm not gonna do that. You come on and tell us what you have found in your study of time that has been an amazing thing to you.
well, something that is perplexing but has been a life changer and a mental changer is the fact that time has been manipulated, and not the like, I'm not even going into the actual like physicality of time being manipulated, but just the calculations of time has been manipulated. And it's just like I said, today is April 11th, 2021, but it's really just a thing that we say that it is for everybody to be on the same page. But when I realized that time is actually has been manipulated, and we're living under an arbitrary system of calculation of time, it changed my perspective, and it actually changed my life, because I don't care. I could care less about what Gregory tells me, um, what time it is. Uh, I went back to the biblical account and realized that we're not supposed to be under a solar calendar, calendrical system. We're supposed to be under a lunisolar, operating on. We're supposed to know what time it is based on all three things: the sun, the moon, and the stars. So doing that, like, I've thrown out this whole Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday thing, and January to December thing. Uh, I keep it for everyday purposes because I need to function in this world that we live in. But I also keep the correct times according to what Scripture tells us to do, as far as like Sabbaths and things like that. Because Rome says Sabbath is Sunday. Judaism tells you that the Sabbath is Saturday. But these are all contrived. All these things are inventions. So it's not Sunday or Saturday. It's based on the calculations of the sun, the moon, and the stars. And that has changed my perception. That has actually changed how I operate in life. And so that is a major change. And that's a change that everybody should make, or everybody should attempt to see how they can implement it into their lives. Because if we are professors to be believers of the word tells us exactly what we're supposed to be doing and how we're supposed to be doing it.
Derek C. Williams has a really good question here, and he says, I always wondered about the Chinese New Year. they are like in the year 6325 or something. You have anything to
Exactly.
add to that?
Yeah, because they're going off of the lunar calendar. They never switched it up because this is the thing. Everybody who has switched it up has been colonialized. They've been colonized and they've been affected and infected, if you ask me, but they've been affected by colonial.
Uh-huh.
They've been affected by colonial. Every country that abides by the construct that we adhere to, it has been a victim or has fallen to colonialism. The Chinese, they ain't having it. They have never had that. So the Chinese, they've always stuck to the ancient ways, as well as the Arabs. They were too strong for Rome to come in and conquer them or what have you, and they weren't subjected to colonialism, to where their whole entire language switched up, their whole entire framing of a calendar system switched up. They kept it close to the ancient ways, and the ancient ways has always been the lunar cycle, with in regards with the sun and the stars helping the calculation. What we do is the sun and the sun period, and we discard the moon and we discard the stars. But they go hand in hand. It's like I said, it is the second hand, the minute hand, and the hour hand. And if you're just operating off of the sun, then you're just operating off of the hour hand, and you don't know, like you don't have a full grasp.
Yeah, and the irony is that even though they swipe that portion, it's almost like everything, if you would look at it as a giant pie, and that the powers that be will take the giant pie and they'll divvy out the portion that they want for the peasants, and then they'll keep the stuff that they're able to use that's more malleable to be able to manipulate the masses with. I mean, as I'm listening to you, that's my interpretation. That's the best way for me to understand it. Is it's almost like, okay, we got this big pie and we're going to chump out the pieces of the pie we want y'all to go by. And here you go. That's why we can change it so much. If we're going to say it's blue, it's blue. And we used to call it Monday. Now it's called Blue Day. And so noticing what you're talking about here as it relates to the different areas, and a great point to our brother Derek, who brought up an exceptional point, which is why I believe that a lot of people do get thrown off by even, let's say, and I hate to say the word because we're not religious. We just believe in one God, one Yahweh. We just believe in him. That's it. But I would say, to his point, that's the reason why I believe so many people are able to challenge anytime you want to go tell somebody about God, because they're able to say, well, look at the Roman this and the Roman that and all the stuff, and a way that they've manipulated so much. And to those folks' point, they're absolutely right, because there is so much changing. And then the paganism is amazing. It's just, so when we're looking at time, I know that what we started off talking about was that, the days are short. And yes, we've heard our grandparents and our parents say that forever. It's just that now we're the parents and the grandparents, and we're living through it, and
Right.
we can really see and say, this is that time. We talked about our importance of making sure that we are in the place that we're supposed to be, saying the things that we're supposed to say, and living the life that we can, the best that we can. Because I tell you guys sometimes, hey, wait a minute now, I'll cuss like Peter. I've been honest with y'all. I tell you, we get on the wrong side. But it's those things that we got to learn to die daily to. You got to learn to die daily to them. So whatever it's going to take for us to get where we need to be, to get us where we need to be, we need to do it. And it's on us. It's really not on God. It's not on Yahweh. It's not on the Father. It's not on, if you call him Jesus, it's not on, Yahweh Shah. It's not on any of that. It's on you. It is important for you to do what you need to do. Okay. Let's see. Somebody snuck in here on me. SCDHL. Yeah. The Chinese have always stuck to their ways. All right. As they, yep. History repeating itself. It's all downhill from here, sadly, he states. And it says, I did a video on daylight savings time. Turns out the inventor of this thing wanted more light to catch butterflies. Real rap. in Arizona. Some Native Americans do not honor the time change. And then we also have Ozymandias, the Chinese, also count the years of a child also differently. And Rachel Van Ziel, hello. Did the Jewish calendar also get changed? One would think the rabbis would have the correct time. Well, not if you're walking around a bunch of imposters. I mean, that's the biggest group of imposters I've ever seen. And I said it, and it's true. That can't change. I'm sorry. They're just imposters. That's like the biggest, what I call it?
Fraud on mankind.
I call it fraud on mankind. I call it the imposters. I also say it's the biggest attempt and success at identity theft ever. All right, so let's see here. Family, please be careful how you word your messages. Thanks. She's not joking, you guys, because they strike me for anything that happens in the chat. Okay, so unlike the most of the United States, Arizona does not observe daylight savings time, DST, with the exception of the Navajo Nation, which does observe it. Get your story straight. Okay, thank you. All right, so Derek goes on to say Easter, the festival of Ishtar. It's Ishtar, the vernal equinox, the rebirth of all of that, the deep stuff. And a darn good book on that I read was When God Was a Woman. Well, it looks like that's what they're trying to push it to right now. Because if it was true, honey, we'd be a mess if it was one of us. Did anyone keep accurate record of time? It's a good question to hold our finger there with Rachel. Ms. Van Ziel, how? No clocks at the beginning of time, right? Well, there is a way that we keep time. And as you guys heard us talking the other week, when I was mentioning the fact that we were in our, oh, help me out, Ronnie. We were going from our Passover into our Feast of Unleavened Bread. And it was an amazing thing. It was the most eye-opening and the most beautiful thing I could say I've ever done. And it made so much sense because I could go directly to the word and find it. Here's the irony. A lot of people have left the church and have left the body because of all the shenanigans that went on, because of all the bad guys that's been in the church and all the stuff that we've seen in the churches. And it makes you just say, forget about it. I don't want nothing to do with it. But when we in earnest start to open up that word and begin to ask him, okay, show me. Please show me. He begins to show us. You see what I'm saying? He begins to show us. And so for me, I'm all in. I mean, I'm enjoying it. So we are here at 1 hour, 32 minutes and 24 seconds. We don't have much longer to go. And I'm going to quit butting in, but we're having some good information and a great talk. I hope you guys are enjoying yourself. Do you want me to go to another slide right quick? Or should we stay here?
Yeah, go to Joshua real quick. I'm just gonna read. So you know, I'm not paraphrasing whatever. The Gregorian calendar was introduced first in 1582, but it took more than 300 years for all the different countries to change from the Julian calendar. September 1752 is when North America changed. September 1752. So wow. That is the same time frame. September or 1752 was when Britain changed. And you know, North America followed suit because you know we're a British colony. But that was in so America didn't become Gregorianized, if that's a thing, until
that
September.
Sounds like a thing.
1750, yeah, it's a thing they made up, exactly. So 1752, so that's what 300 years that we've been implementing right here in America. But it has, so I'm just reinforcing that and reiterating these concepts to let you know that these time constraints, these time structures are infantile in the long scheme of things. They're very, 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 very new. But that's not to say that time can't be manipulated on an actual level, like a real level, like time actually, you know, being distorted, if you will. That's a thing too. Joshua 10, 13 says, the sun stood still, the moon stopped until the nation avenged itself on its enemies. And it is written in the book of Yasher. The sun stopped in the middle of the sky and delayed going down about a full day. So Joshua was fighting and they needed more daylight. And he cried out to the Most High and said, we need more daylight. And the Most High stopped time for an entire day. And that's the day that time stood still. And this is a biblical account. This is a biblical record. So if you profess to believe the scriptures, you can't pick and choose what you believe. You either believe it or you got to throw it in the trash. Or, you know, if you're a believer, now you can get principles and precepts and concepts out of it. But if you're a believer, you got to take, you know, all or nothing, or what have you. And in this account, he's telling you that Yah stopped time. So anybody who can manipulate time is attempting to be like Yah, is attempting to be like I, the creator of things. And you're not the creator of things, you're the usurper of things. So there's a difference, but time can be manipulated in the physical sense of distortion, because there's an account in Joshua, if you choose to believe that you know, that the sun stopped in the middle of the day and it stood still in the middle of the sky and delayed its going down for about a full day. So I just wanted to throw that out there. That time manipulation.
Derek Williams is giving us all of the great time sayings. Perfect timing. And he tells us from time to immemorial, time immemorial. My time is now.
Right.
Time's up. Good hip hop song by OC. And then time keeps on ticking. I forgot who that was, but it was time keeps on ticking. Anyway, all right. All righty. Go ahead.
Future.
Into the future. Yep. Okay, come on. I'm gonna fly like an eagle. Okay, no, I'm not. Go. I'm gonna. Y'all know I'll keep singing it. I'm the jingle queen. Go. Do you want me to go to another screen?
Yeah, go to Leviticus, because I'm gonna reel it in and bring it to the biblical. So this is the thing. This is how the people that profess to believe in the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, this is how they calculate time. And this is how we're supposed to calculate time. If you go to Leviticus, I'm at 8. I'm going to read 8 through 12. It says, "And thou shalt number 7 Sabbaths of years unto thee, 7 times 7 years. And the space of the 7 Sabbaths of years shall be unto thee 49 years. Then shalt thou cause the trumpet of the Jubilee to sound on the 10th day of the 7th month, and in the day of atonement shall ye make the trumpet sound throughout all your land. And ye shall hallow the 50th year, and proclaim liberty throughout all the land unto the inhabitants thereof. It shall be a jubilee unto you, and ye shall return every man unto his own possession, and ye shall return every man unto his family. A jubilee shall that 50th year be unto you. Ye shall not sow, ye shall neither shall you reap that which groweth on itself of itself in it, nor gather the grapes in it of thine vine undressed, for it is a jubilee. It shall be set apart unto you, and ye shall eat the increase thereof out of the field. So basically what this is saying is 7 times 7, 7 groups of 7 years is 49 years, and on that 50th year is a jubilee. So time increments according to the heavenlies, in regards to in relation to earth, it's every 50 years. So every 50 years is a grouping of time. And that and that is what is called a jubilee. So you have groups of 50. And what's interesting is if you go to Genesis 6, it tells you in verse 3, Yah says, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for he is flesh, yet his days shall be numbered 120 years.
What verse did you want me to go to? Oh, here, verse
Verse
3. Okay, I see it. I see it.
Said, my spirit shall not strive with man, for that he is also flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years.
Wow.
So, all through Christianity, all through churchianity, all through growing up, they say that, he reeled man's lifespan back to 120 years. But people were living in this time era, people were living past 120 years. So that's not completely accurate. This is a micro and a macro. This is you have to look at it in different aspects. So 120 years, if you count 120 years by Jubilee years, which is a grouping of 50 years, 120 times 50 is 6,000.
Wow.
So what he's saying is that he's allotted a time frame for man to manifest itself, to replenish, and to perpetuate himself on earth for 6,000 years. And then he's going to wrap, quote unquote, time up for the 7th year, for the 7,000th year. And that is going to be the final rest. That is going to be the rest. So this is, I'll go to 2 Peter real quick. I want you to go to the next slide, because this is what I'm getting at. So 6,000 years. 6,000 years, right? So we're looking at a micro level and we're looking at a macro level. Okay. And we're comparing the two. It says, but do not forget this one thing, dear friends. With the Lord, a day is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is like a day. But he admonishes you, he implores you before he even tells you, do not forget this. He's letting you know, don't forget this. 6,000 years. To the Most High, a day is 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is a day. So this 6,000 years is, and then that 7,000th year, that millennial reign at the end of time, that 1,000-year reign at the end of time, that is a week to the Most High. That is a week. That's 7 days. That's a full 7 days. So he's giving us a week to be on this earth.
When you think about it like that, you ain't kidding. In their calendar.
Exactly. So, but the thing is, they want to distort the calendar so we don't know what time it is.
Derek C. Williams says the Methuselah Project, a think tank that is actually trying to capture time through diet and supplementation. Resveratrol, I think that's it. Is it resveratrol or resveratrol? Okay, I take it. Actually slows down the aging process. Confirmed. So these are topical things. But you know what? I'm going to tell you something. I want you guys to think of a couple that you know that have really been faithful and in love with one another, husband, wife type of deal. And say that they've been following after our Father. Okay, not the whole, the Christendom thing. Because listen, you guys already know where I am on that. I saw a lot of couples that were in the Christendom thing church, and trying to compare myself to them and trying to make sure that I was doing everything that they were doing because I needed to be, right back way back in the day. Then all of a sudden I was like, you know what? Yo, wait a minute. I need to be living for him, not for what I think a marriage is supposed to look like. My point. If you've ever seen some real people who really love the Father, it's like a time capsule. They are literally preserved. Think about it. Think about somebody that that are just really good, sweet, people who love the Father. They love one another. They're just a great couple and they live it every day. they don't look like they've cracked at all. They don't look like they've cracked. They don't look like their eyes. They just look like the pillar of health. And I think that there's something to be said by living a good life. You know what I mean? One Peaches 41 says, there's so much to learn. I welcome knowledge and correction in my life. And as long as we are that way, he will do that for us. Cryo freezing. I understand that LeBron James is using this technology to slow aging aid in healing in science fiction talk, sort of like suspense animation. I always been fascinated by that. Well, he needs to work on that hairline. Okay, so we are at 1 hour, 44 minutes and 55 seconds, coming up on 1 hour, 45 minutes. Derek says, go to sleep in 2021 and wake up in the year 2500 like Buck Rogers. Anthony Van Zandt says, time will for always tell, cause it for always does. Yet it can tell us where we are going or how. It can't tell us where we're going or how we are going to get there. Yet it will always show us exactly where we have been. Thus, they screw with time. You know, and that's one good point. I was doing some study on time, and there's, I think it's called the arrow of time, where the arrow of time, you can pretty much, you know, figure, okay, if I put the cream in the coffee, then I already know putting the cream in the coffee is going to cause this to happen. So it's like time will start out one way, nice and controlled, but then if something is cut into it or whatever, then you have this uncontrolled thing, the coffee and the cream. Now it's dispersed. You can't undo that, right? But you can definitely go forward, and you can tell what's going to happen, all things being equal, when you move something in time, when you go forward in time. So to your point, I get that. Ozamala says, my mom used to go to church till it got political. So she just reads the Bible now, and your mom was probably doing a whole lot better because of it. They also want to transfer thoughts into robots. Whole bunch of other stuff. Rachel, you ain't joking either, Ozamala. Rachel Van Ziel says, the only accurate source of tracking time is the Bible. Very good. What do you say to that, Ronnie Man? And do you want me to scroll down anymore?
No, the 2 Peter 3:8 is suffices. But if you can go to Psalms, this is the precept to where Peter even got this. But the fact remains is that you can figure out what time it is. You're gonna have a hard time like breaking it down to the exact year or what have you, but you can pretty much figure out what time it is by finding out what the scriptures tell you how to calculate time, and you can get a firm grasp of for real what time it is. That's why you got them brothers like in them big cities, up in Philly, up in New York, and that when they see you, like you know what time it is, you know what time it is, like they always know what time it is. They're harping on the time because you have to know what time it is. You have to break from this system, and how you break from this system is it's a mental thing. You have to peel yourself away mentally from this system, and when you do, you're actually going to figure out more and more actually what time it is, because the year started in January according to what we abide by in this land. But for real, time, like the year just started.
And to Derek's point, for the Chinese, it's going. You know what I mean? 63, I think he said. You know what I'm saying? So it's really about it is about knowing what time it is and about understanding exactly what's going on. You know what? I want to just take a second just to get over here just for a little reason. I think that the funny thing is that when you look at the year of the year of the dragon, I believe is what it is. It's all the year of the Chinese New Year. They move a little differently, and I think it's based on the fact that they do have some concept of what time it is. When you see people who do understand the concept, the true concept of time, you will see that they move differently in their lives. These individuals have literally purchased up the majority of the ports that will put us in a whole entire, they have circled us basically. Yeah, they have where we sit, they literally circled us because they understand time. Think about that. The most people who play chess well, they study time. They study the board. They study everything. They're doing more of the thought process and less of this. And in that, they're able to look at it and figure, I'm going to go here and I can predict pretty much what you're going to do because I can see what you're going to do. If I set you up to do this, again, dealing with the arrow of time, generally I can tell you're going to move here or there. Those individuals have studied so much of everything. I mean, again, 6,000 years, they've been pretty good at the art of noise, if you will, if you know what I'm saying. And so they understand it. And I think it's because we don't do what we need to do, not even to study our own history, let alone world history, let alone any wars or anything that we should study. We haven't really done that. And so I think when you consider the fact that while we've all been here doing all the stuff that we're doing, they understand the concept and the value of time so much that they have pretty much purchased every single port all the way around us. That you can verify. That is a verifiable fact. We're coming up on the 2-hour mark. We do not want to hold you guys any longer. So basically, we've got about roughly 10 minutes before we're going to get out of here. I'm going to allow Ronnie to go on ahead and finish it up. But as usual, it's been exceptional talking with everybody tonight. I love all the feedback. I love everybody chipping in. Awesome Alice, girlfriend, you always got some good stuff to say. And Mr. Derek, it's so good to see you. You always got good stuff to say too. All y'all smart. So I'm going to go ahead and take myself off right here. And tell me where to go, Ronnie.
Well, you can go to Matthew. You can pull up Matthew 20 real quick if you would like. But as far as Psalms 90:4 says, 1,000 years in your sight are like a day that has just gone by, or like a watch in the night. So this is where 2 Peter gets its precept from, in saying that 1,000 years is a day and a day is 1,000 years unto the Most High. So this concept is a biblical concept, and it puts it in perspective when he tells you 120 years. He's talking about it, like I stated, on a micro or on a macro level. So we're
hold on. I'm so sorry. I don't mean to do this. David Harris, when I put my mind on you, my brother from down under, here you go. Hey, man, I've been thinking about this guy. And I've been praying for you, and I'm glad you're here. Go ahead, Ronnie. I'm so glad to see you. I was about to send the troops. Go.
Are you sending the troops? Nowadays, that's an act of war. Don't do that.
Man, I was about to go after my brother. I was like, okay, Ariel, Raphael, Michael, Mikhael. Go check on my brother. I'm glad you're here, David. That's real talk.
Right, so we need to wrap our minds around the fact that 1,000 days is a year. I mean, I'm sorry, pardon me. That 1,000 years is a day, and a day is 1,000 years. When Yah is looking and calculating on his time structure, and when he's talking in reference to us. So when he says that we've been limited to 120 years, he's when we look at the groupings of what a time frame is a jubilee, which is 50 years. So that calculates to 6,000 years, and we have 6 days to do the work, and then we have a day of rest. And if you think about it, and if you tune out all of the preachings and the teachings that they indoctrinate you with, and you immerse yourself into the word and allow the Spirit to do the teaching, you'll see all the nuances line up from the front of the book to the back of the book. And you see in the back of the book, it tells you that there's a millennial reign where all of his people rest for 1,000 years in the kingdom. That's the 7th day, which is the Sabbath. That is a grand, macro version of the weekly Sabbath. So for 6 days, 6,000 years, we've been working and toiling and, doing the work. And then on that final hour, on that seventh day, we reap the benefits or the consequences of what we have sowed. And that is the grand scheme of what the biblical aspect of time is telling you. And I'm here, everybody can attest to it. It feels like time is winding down and we are approaching that final hour until the seventh day. And you know, when the sun comes up on the seventh day, that's Yah's day. That is Yah's day, and it's a wrap. You have already should have made your decision. You have already should have drawn that line in the sand and excluded yourself from the plagues of Babylon and the plagues of Egypt and the meanderings of Rome, and you should have entered into his green pastures by now. And if you haven't, it's nobody's fault but our own. So we have to be mindful of what time it is. And if we understand this construct, this 6,000 year thing, then we can understand that time is really winding down for real. And we need to go ahead and get on the ball. Stop faking, stop playing with it. Either, go full in or go home. It's either all or nothing. You can't put your hand to the plow and look back. And then if you do look back, you might as well not even put your hands to the plow. So just, stay out of it or step in the arena and let's do this work, because the seventh day is approaching. And in Matthew, we can end out with Matthew if you would like.
What chapter in Matthew would you like us to go to?
20.
All right, let's go.
Did that make sense?
Mm-hmm. It made exceptional sense to me. Exceptional sense. Yes, sir. Yes.
I hope that makes sense.
It makes sense to me.
So,
and I think it makes sense to everybody else too, because, right now we are all at the place where we really do feel it. And I mean, hey, here's the weird thing. Even for those folks and those of us who may have one time been in the body, once you belong to him, you really do belong to the Father. Now you can run, you can hide, and I can honestly agree with you that some of the things that you may not want to hang out with the people who go to that building, but you cannot run from him if he's got his hand on you. And I truly believe that once we begin to reckon with the fact that the stuff that we were dealing with, the buildings and the people and the ushers and the deacons and the pastors and the ministers and the choir directors and all of that stuff, I do believe that once we begin to reckon with the fact that that was not him, that was people, we can take all of that, ball it up, dump it in a garbage can, and now we see the real part that says it is a personal relationship with him, and that the only thing that matters is knowing what time it is and putting our hand to the plow and doing what he called us to do. Not what I called you to do. Not what Ronnie called you to do. Not what anybody else called you to do. Get in a place where you can talk to him and say, Father, what would you have me to do? What can I do to progress this thing in the direction that it's supposed to, so that none would perish? Because you said that you would, that no man would perish, but that all would come into the knowledge of the truth. That's what you would like to see happen. So how do we do this? How do I do this? What do I need to do? Tell me what I need to do to fix me. And you can find that out by going into the book. You can find that out by digging in the book of James. You can find all that out. What do you need to do? Get down with James. If you get down with the book of James, if you ain't got nothing but Psalms, if your Bible that your great grandmama and them gave you and left up in the cupboard with all that dust on it, and you really want to try to get back to all that might be left is the book of James and the book of Psalms and Proverbs. You're going to be straight. Don't have to worry about all the highfalutin stuff. So there is no reason. Today is the day.
That's right.
To get it together. So we're at Matthew. What chapter, what verse? Matthew 20, what verse?
Chapter 20, and I'm gonna read starting at 1. But this is the thing, even if you don't subscribe to the notion that the time account that we briefly overviewed in scripture is, scientific by any stretch of the imagination, that it's not an accurate scientific assessment of time. or what have you, even if you don't subscribe to that concept. The fact remains is if you believe this book, then the person who gave us this book, the entity, the power, the might, the heavenly Father that gave us this book, this is what he told us how he operate, what time he operates in. So even if it's not scientific to you, this is the only time structure that you need to be focused on and trying to hone in on, because this is what he's operating on. And lo and behold, you need to look into the feasts that are in scripture, because the feasts of scripture line you up with time. If you are doing these feasts, Christianity is going to tell you these feasts are irrelevant and they're done away with. But when you read for yourself, it says that these are perpetuated for generations, every generation forever. You're supposed to always do this, but it's telling you to do this because because the scriptures, he foreseen, he knows all. He already knows that people are going to come in and manipulate time and throw you off. But if you stay focused on the time frame that he has structured and put us into, then we will always be on time. We will never be out of place. We will always be in position when he comes, and when he does sets out to accomplish what he's going to accomplish, we will be in place, in position, in safety versus in harm's way. And the thing is, these feasts, you really should look into them, because the distraction is the Christmases and the Thanksgivings and the Easters and the Valentine's Days and the 4th of July's and all of these things. But the actual feast days are the set apart days, are the actual days that he has prescribed as appointed times. The word in the Hebrew means appointed times. These are appointments. And you won't miss an appointment with a lawyer. You won't miss an appointment with a doctor, but we consistently miss the appointments with our Creator. But we profess to love him, and we profess that he knows us. But there's going to be many of us that come up to him, and he's going to say, I do not know you. I never knew you.
And that's why it's a good thing to get into them and learn about them, because so many of us, including myself, I didn't know. I honestly,
I see this point. Sandy Aaron said, but the feast dates are manipulated. You have to understand that the feast dates are manipulated, but that's if you are going off of what man has told you. And I see that you have man capitalized. The thing is, if you're operating on the sun, the moon, and the stars, you know when these feast days are. You know when they are when you look at scripture. Go to Leviticus 23. Look up these feast dates. They pinpoint and tell you when these feast dates are. They give you time markers, but you have to rip your brain away from the constructs of what Rome has given us, and then you have to operate solely in the spirit realm with the words that the Most High has given us. But that's a great point. It has been manipulated, but stop focusing on Christianity. Stop focusing on Judaism. Focus on the word, focus on the scriptures, focus on the direction, the way, the spirit. He guides us. The spirit is what brings us into all truth and all understanding, not Rabbi such and such, and not Pastor such and such. The spirit guides us into all understanding. And we have to do that by tuning out the distraction and the noise and honing in on what the scriptures are telling us to do. But mind you, it tells you, I want to move forward if that's okay, to close out.
We are at Leviticus right now.
Okay. I was just throwing that out there. I was just throwing that out there. Leviticus 23 gives you a brief overview of all of the feasts, but you have to read line upon line, precept upon precept, here a little, there a little. All throughout scripture, it is interwoven, and it gives you a greater understanding of what and how to operate in Yah's actual real time. But Leviticus gives you a grand overview of all of these feasts. Get intimate with it, because that's the time. I mean, we buy We buy $1,000 Rolexes so we can operate on their time. We can't read Leviticus 23 and get intimate with it. I'm gonna be real with you. Shame on you. Shame on you. I like that Rolex though, but still, shame on you.
Sandy says that the Old Testament is types and shadows.
It is.
Mm-hmm. Azamala says, you thinking like me, Ronnie. The feast day are in the book of Leviticus. Yes, they are. And you know what the funny thing about it is that we were never released from this, especially when you see in the Hebrew where it says basically, and I'm paraphrasing, not only are you going to do this, but for generations, for your generations. That is what blew me away when I see that it says 4 generations. And to me, when I, for example, with the Passover and then, unleavened bread and all those good things, it made sense to me. Yahweh Shah kept every single one of them while he walked here.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's something to why they want us to not do it. They give you a bunny rabbit instead of understanding Passover. They gave you a bunny rabbit. And it's not even the Passover that they do. Okay, their Passover that they doing, that ain't this. What are they what? Go ahead, Ronnie.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
That's a good point. These this Matthew 20, the parable of the vineyard, of the vineyard workers. This is the last day. This is the last day. And we have to be under the covering of the Spirit. And if we're not, we're going to be caught out there in the storm, and that's not a good thing. And
we got it there. Matthew 20 is right there.
For the kingdom of heaven is like unto a man that is a householder, which went out early in the morning to hire laborers in his vineyard. And when he had agreed with the laborers for a penny a day, he sent them into his vineyard. And he went out about the 3rd hour and saw others standing idle in the marketplace. And he said unto them, Go ye also into the vineyard, and whatsoever is right I will give you. And they all went their way. Again, he went out about the 6th and the 9th and did likewise. And about the 11th hour he went out and found others standing idle, and said to them, Why stand ye here all day idle? And they said unto him, Because no man has hired us. He said unto them, Go ye also into the vineyard, and whatsoever is right, that shall ye receive. So when even was come, the Lord of the vineyard said unto his steward, Call the laborers and give them their hire, beginning from the last unto the first. And when they came that were hired about the 11th hour, they received every man a penny. But when the first came, they supposed that they should have received more. And they likewise received every man a penny. And when they had received it, they murmured against the good man of the house, saying, These last have wrought but 1 hour, and thou hast made them equal unto us, which have borne the burden and the heat of the day. But he answered one of them and said, Friend, I do you no wrong. Did not thou agree with me for a penny? Take that thine is, and go thy way. I will give unto the last even as unto thee. Is it not lawful for me to do what I will with mine own? Is thine eye evil because I am good? So the last shall be first, and the first shall be last. For many are called, but few are chosen. Okay, so I'm just going to break that down real quick. The master of the vineyard went out to get some laborers, some day laborers, and he went out the 1st hour, went out the 3rd hour, went out the 6th hour, went out the 9th hour in increments of every 3rd hour. So that 9th hour, he didn't come back at the 12th hour. He came back at the 11th hour. So he's going out every, in increments, the 3rd, 6th, 9th, and then the 11th hour to grab people up to tend to the vineyard. So this is what time it is. We are now at that 11th hour. because he didn't come at the 12th hour, because by the 12th hour, he's giving out the pay. He's giving out, the money. He's giving out a penny to everybody. So he's already paying you at the 12th hour. So you don't want to get caught out there at the 12th hour. It's too late. But he comes, as gracious as he is, he comes at the 11th hour real quick. He breaks tradition. Instead of coming every third hour, the 3rd, the 6th, the 9th, and he comes in real quick right before it's payday. And he says, all right, y'all, come here. Come on. And he was like, how come y'all are still here? And he's like, nobody came to hire us. Well, don't worry about it. I got you, and you can come on in. So we're at the 11th hour, and we're all standing idle. But he's coming for us. And this is that calling even right now. Hey, come on, come into the vineyard and get paid.
Mm-hmm.
And because on the 12th hour, he's giving out what you're due. So I just want to make that, there's a whole lot of stuff that I can dive into right here, but just illustrating that we are indeed at the very last hour of the 6th day, and we still have time to enter into the work, even if it's just for an hour, and we're going to get the same pay that the person that's been there since the break of dawn is getting. We're all going to get the same pay. Sandy Aaron talking about fulfilled. What does that mean? What does that mean, Sandy Aaron? Fulfilled and all the law and all the feasts. He said it came. So what does that mean to you? And whatever that means to you, are you just regurgitating what somebody else has told you, or are you speaking from the Spirit? And I'm gonna go ahead and just keep it
100.
Like, yeah, you what does that mean to you? He fulfilled it. You're absolutely right. But I think that has a different connotation to you than it does to me. And whatever you're perpetuating, maybe you should come on up here and come on with it and say it. But if you ask me, you're just regurgitating what you've been taught. And what you've been taught apparently is kind of sideways and kind of off. And
how and tell us how you see that it being off, and as far as the teaching. I would
like Sandy Aaron to tell us. She said that he has fulfilled the law. What does that mean? What does that mean?
She says that Jesus lived the Torah to perfection and fulfilled all the law and all of the feasts. He said he came to fulfill the law and became the Lamb without blemish. Now, let me just say this, that when we consider that has been what we were always taught, what somebody always told us. And we understand where I understand, okay, because my daddy's a preacher, granddaddy was a preacher, uncles, brother, all of us preachers, licensed and ordained. And we were all as dumb as a box of rocks, even though we got a lot of understanding. But the understanding that I got, I can't speak for anybody else, was always given to me. And I studied it based on what I was taught or told. And I was taught and I was told that he came to fulfill it. And he did not come to condemn it. I was taught all of that good stuff. And I was always taught the types and shadows stuff. I was always taught that. But here's the deal. If there were any validity as far as what we are supposed to be keeping and doing today, based on what we were doing, then why is it that what we were doing ain't working? Didn't work? Because we were doing what we were told from a Roman standpoint. For me, not for anybody else, just for me. Okay. And for me, I had that mindset. And for me, that mindset left me wanting because I knew there was something else. It's just got to be more. Now, I think that it's important to point out this one thing, and that is that Rome is the one who's orchestrated all of this. Rome is the one who gave us the rabbit instead of leaving us alone and allowing us to know what what my forefather has said. Okay? What my forefathers were taught and were supposed to be teaching me, right? My grandfather and all of them that learned everything that they learned it from the standpoint of those who were here. Anything you know, you have to be able to ask yourself, where did I get this concept from? And why do I believe it the way that I believe it? And did I just stop here? And I'm not talking about anybody else. I'm talking about what my mindset was. My mindset was, well, I've got it. And I understand it. And so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say it. And I found myself saying a lot of the things that were taught to me, but it wasn't until I began to literally sit down and open it up and read it and see that he was telling me what he wanted me to do. Nowhere in the word does he say, let's just take it right here. I'm going to come on with it like this. He said, I am the same yesterday, today, and forevermore. Do I believe that? Yeah. So how can I believe that? And at the same time, he says, I changeth not. I do not change. What I said here is what I mean. I'm talking about the Father. I'm talking about what the Father said. The Father said, I don't change. If you don't hear me talking, basically, what I said back then is what I mean. Period. And so what ends up happening is enters Rome. And Rome comes in.
Can I interject?
That is pagan. Yeah, go right ahead.
You said, what he said way back then, but really hone in on what has been said this evening. 1,000 years is a day is 1,000 years. So what he said, he said that so long ago, and that's not necessary for today. But if he does not change, if he changes not, if he's the same yesterday, today, and forever, and if 1,000 years is a day and a day is 1,000 years, all these things that we profess to believe, then that means he just left last Tuesday.
Amen.
In his mind, he just left last Tuesday. So when he comes back, he's going to come back and be like, what in the, what? Y'all changed all of this up? I just left last Tuesday. I can't even go get a cheeseburger and come back. Like, think about that. And this whole time, we've had all this time to be fed by Rome, but this is Sunday dinner. This is the real food. This is the real food. And we have to, I don't know. We gotta, I don't know, discard the old. We have to discard the old. And we have to go back to the original. We have to go back to the original.
Well, so Malice makes a good real statement here. She says he came to show us how, and also how to keep the path back to home to our Father. He set the pace because man has altered things and confused his people. Bravo. Correct.
Exactly. That is correct. But maybe I'm wrong. But every time I see that, as far as he has come to fulfill the law, that always comes across like, he fulfilled it, so we don't have to do it. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that wasn't meant like that. But every time I see that, that's the argument that is tied to that. And I'm just.
She's got a good point here too. And what you just said was just what, the disciple, what Yahushua said to the disciples. And he says, what, you cannot wait an hour with me? When they were sleeping there in the Garden of Gethsemane, he walked around. He was like, I've been praying and I came back and you guys can't even keep 1 hour. Now, the one thing that I want us to I'm going to break this wide open right now. And it may shatter some people, and not my sister Sandy or anybody else. It's not meant to do that. But I'm going to tell you something. The word of the Most High divides. And it ain't pretty when it divides. If you've seen a two-edged sword, if you can imagine one going, he takes that sword and he'll smooth go one way and smooth go. It cuts asunder. It cuts a couple of different 2 or 3 ways, basically. Okay. 2 ways specifically. But the truth about the matter is that we have been taught in error. And this is the hour right now on so many different platforms and on so many different conversations where he is bringing us back for those who are the remnant, because there ain't going to be a whole lot of us that understand truth, right? This is the day and this is the hour where he is going to prove his word, not what folks have been teaching us. Because every big cat that I've ever seen, every pastor that I've ever known, I've seen it all. When I say I've seen it all, I've seen it all. Okay? But the word will prove itself out. That's the one thing I'm going to say. Pray about it, talk about it, go to him with it, ask him for guidance. And this is for everybody on the replay, everybody in the chat right now, anybody, because here's the one thing I will not do. I will not, we will not, and we do not take this thing lightly. We don't play. We are here to give the true word. If there's any correction that needs to be done, it will be done from the Father. And if there is true correction that comes from the word that goes beyond what the Romans say, that goes beyond what Grecians, Roman Grecians, Catholics, you go beyond that to deal with me, because I know who they are and I know what their assignment is. And the mess that we're looking at, to go right back to what God Blessed America said about the greed, is all it's all about. It's all about who got the last man on the battlefield, who sank my battleship. It's all about that. This is war. And if we don't understand it in its nature, in its entirety, then what we will do, see, when we're dealing with the word and when we're dealing with the fact that we have come into this Laodicean Christianity mindset, the Laodicean Christianity mindset says that I don't have to do nothing. All I got to do is sit here and wait. I ain't got to go out. I ain't got to do nothing. I don't have to clean up my life. I'm living through grace. That will allow you and whomever else would be listening that thinks that is the mindset to have, to bust hell wide open. We must do the work. It is the work that we are to do. Why? Because he told us to lay aside each and every weight and measure that would so easily beset us. He told us to run this race with patience. He told me to get it together, to pick up my cross. He told me to let the dead bury the dead. He told me to follow him. Those are things that are action words. It may not be nice to put on my moccasins and follow to a place that I don't know. It may not be comfortable for me to lay aside friends and family and people who don't want to trust him and follow him and lead, let him lead, and they walk behind him. It may not be comfortable to walk a road alone when nobody else want to go with me, but he told me that the way was going to be very narrow, and that if the righteous just so barely make it in, what of the unjust? Who do you think is going to be pushing their way in? But I laid hands and I cast out devils in your name. Let me in. Oh, but I did this and I did that. Let me in. Who you think that is, Holland? Bunny rabbits, Santa Claus, Cupid and his bow and arrow ain't gonna get you in. Come out from among her. Everything you've been taught, take it to him. I submit if there's a problem, it is not with me. It is with him and his word. Go to him. All I can do is tell you, go to him. But all that Rome has to offer ain't gonna help you get in, ain't gonna help me get in. All that Rome has to offer is confusion and being tied to a system that is opposite of him and his will, our Father and his will. We can like it or leave it. We can love it or lump it but he ain't gonna change. He ain't never changed. Man changed. And that's that. I appreciate each and every one of you all for being here this evening. We're coming up right now on 2 hours, 24 minutes, and 23 seconds. I so appreciate everybody for everything that we have shared this evening, and for every single one of us who have come in and dined at this table. I want to thank our sister, Sonia, and our brother, Ronnie Mann, for the spirit of oneness coming in today and sharing and giving us the word. And the one thing I'd like to say about that is that when the brother come, you can believe he studied very well. And I would encourage each and every one of us, knowing that the time is at hand, that we need to get it together, to all of us to just sit down and study. That's what this is all about. Sometimes the word divides. That's just that. You guys take care of one another. Remember what we always say here on this channel, and that is that man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of the Most High Yah. You guys take care and be blessed.
I've always been a unique person, you know what I mean? Sort of laid back in a way, but very adamant and very passionate about what I believe. I think a lot of times that sort of throws people off because they don't expect me to have the mindset or the process of thought that I do. And so when you come in to watch my channel, you may hear a myriad of thoughts and ideas that could be different from others. What I want you to do is just sit back, like, share, and subscribe.
To receive instant notification each time I upload, please hit the subscribe button and the bell notification.
Helping you along the way. Helping you to make it through another day. Yeah, yeah. Everything you need to know that you never knew, that you need to know. Look on perspective.
But my love, there is no light at the end of the tunnel. You must realize that the light is you.
Yeah, you awake? Wake up, you who sleep, and arise from the dead. And Mashiach shall give you light. Yeah. He took me high on a mountain, told me look around. What I found was astounding. If I bow down, he can make anything happen, surpassing everything I could ever imagine. Flying first class, relaxing, living my passion, guaranteed satisfaction. High end estates, cash and high fashion, high stakes, high class and high flashing, high life. Lights, camera for action, the most fly. Said I'm destined to be just like the most high. So when they crown me king, I want the power it brings. Set my throne above everything. Got the world in the palm of my hand. Now raise your hands high. I'm in high demand. Yeah. If you don't know who I am, I'm the man.
They got my head gassed up to the red line, believing that the world is mine, but it's all a lie. Said I'm not of this world, so I'm hoping I'm not throwing my pearls to swine. I tell her this little light of mine, I gotta let it shine, shine, let it shine, let it shine.
You see this light, I'ma let it shine.
I guess I was supposed to respect it and give a toast, but it wasn't what I expected. With truth approach, they rejected it. They mediocre at best, it's just they'll never accept it. We get affected by the time invested. You think they blessed it, what they spitting is septic. Poison in the mind, they lies neglect what's already written. I'm rolling with the elect, you can check how they kicking it. They've been afflicted, now we gotta move mountains to fix it. No doubt, they going all out, man, I'm getting sick with how they try to reroute the ecliptic. Living in a time predicted, keeping it cryptic, then passing it off for something to get with. I'd rather find a way around the elliptic and get this house in order before they find me evicted. They try to keep me gassed up all the way to the red line, believing that the world is mine, but it's all a lie. See, I'm not of this world, so I'm hoping I'm not throwing my pearls to swine. I tell her this little light of mine, I gotta let it shine, shine, let it shine, let it shine.
You see this light, I'ma let it shine.
This little light of mine, I gotta let it shine, shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light of mine, I gotta let it shine, shine, let it shine, let it shine.
You see this light, I'ma let it shine.
This little light of mine, I gotta let it shine, shine.
Yeah. In the beginning, Yah created the heavens and the earth. His spirit moved upon the waters. It's all in his word. He said, let there be light. And he called the light day. In the darkness, he called night. He saw that it was. He made heaven and called forth the dry land. Gathered the waters, called it the seed. And he made seed for man. Brought forth the grass and every herb and every fruit yielding tree on this earth. He saw that it was. He made lights to divide day and night times for seasons, days, and years to let them be for signs. And so the earth could have light. He made the greater one to rule the day and the lesser one to rule the night. Let's not forget he made the stars also. Then he told the waters to bring forth life, and it was so. He created all the birds of the sky, all the cattle, and every creeping thing after his own kind. He saw that it was. Then Yah created man. In his own image he created them. Male and female he created them. He blessed them to be fruitful and to multiply and to replenish the earth and subdue everything within. Now, behold, it was very good when it saw already had made. The even in the morning were the sixth day. And on the seventh day he rested. That's why he sanctified and blessed it. It's uncontested. My Yah is, and to make it understood, I'm bumping truth music when I'm rolling through my hood. I'm putting Yah first, no hood fame. You read it on a nameplate. Dwell in the house of Yahweh forever for his name's sake. And though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I'm stomping through like it don't even exist. His goodness and mercy follow me all the days of my life. His yoke is easy and his burden is light. My God is. And to make it understood, I'm fucking music when I'm rolling through my hood. Then I was. And to make it understood, I'm fucking music when I'm rolling through my hood.
Up at the sky, see that new day dawning. Yeah.
Good morning, babe.
Do you remember where we're from?
Stayed up watching, no time for yawning. Look up at the sky, see that new day dawning. God be my witness, take it as a warning. Sun ain't never lie, great day in the morning. Focus, never let the nighttime revoke it. Blinded by the dark, I seen it before they cloaked it. It was marvelous, they hiding it behind the pulpit. Lying in a sick bed, vying with the culprit. How we trying on the culture, liking how it fit, now we dying with the vulture. At the round table with more nights than Mozart. Caught up in the image of that child on that poster. The light disable the diagnosis, healing the sick. I got the script and the dosage. Take it for the grind, you gon' need it for the borderline. Holla when you see the joy coming, morning time. Keep on keeping on. Morning time. Holla when you see the joy coming. Look, I guess we probably need a night light so we can continue to get our hope on. They say we headed for that light, right? Well, I'ma hit them with this photon, with that blazing sword forming like Voltron. When the morning come, they disappearing like Croatan. The Melachine, oh my Elohim, Omicron, sealed with the 70, going out like Yoke and 9. And when I meet my deliverer, I'm set apart. I got peace like a river. If we stay sharp with it, there's a feast on the sliver. We can take part. I advise you play it smart. It's a late start. Let the light shine through the dark until the day star rise in your heart. Take heart. When you find the door, you'll be more than fine. Holla when you see the joy coming. Morning time. Holla when you see the joy coming.